Hello and welcome to my quarantine hotel. So before I go through all the rules and regulations that you need to follow during your quarantine stay, I feel like I need to just show you my room really quickly. You're probably watching this video and considering staying in the same hotel I'm staying in. This is called the Picasso Boutique Hotel. I have a beautiful balcony outside. Very spacious. I did request for a table and chair though, but I don't know why when I checked in there's none. They did confirm they would, but anyway, moving forward, these are some gorgeous lamps. They're turned off. Let's turn them on. It's a bit silly because the knobs are right there, so instead of me bending, I just sort of use my foot, which honestly, it doesn't look so great, but I'm sure a lot of people do that. It's just all the way there. There's just no way to keep bending, especially if you're laying down on the bed. It's so far to reach. Anyway, you have a lot of floor space. This TV doesn't have any Netflix or Amazon Prime or any of those apps that you normally watch nowadays on your smart TV. Just in case you're considering playing some movies, check out my video on the pros and cons of staying in Picasso because there's quite a few that I need to mention on the pros and the cons. This is my kitchen. This is my toilet. Hi. If you really want the full tour and like the nitty-gritty bits, do check out my video on the room tour that I have. So without further ado, let's go down to some paperwork. When you check in here, you're going to be greeted with these two papers, which I will put right now. I'll flash it on the screen. You can pause it in case you want to go through it. Okay, let's get started. Now, the reason why I'm on this side of the video is because I'm going to be flashing all the stuff that you need here on this side. So let's start first with the first paper. When they give you this, there's a QR code to scan. Before we scan it, let's just go through what it actually says here. So the first rule is strictly stay inside your room. You are required to stay inside your room at all times until you have been provided clearance by the Bureau of Quarantine and have been authorized by the hotel to check out. It does seem like you're a bit of a prisoner, but technically that's what quarantining means. You can't go out even if you want to buy food or snacks. You cannot leave your room. The only place that you can leave is to go outside the balcony. When I stayed in my previous quarantine hotel, I had no balcony, so I literally just had to stay inside. I do recommend a yoga mat so you can do some exercises. Otherwise, I'm sure you can find ways to exercise in the room. Rule number 2, no outside deliveries are allowed. Any type of delivery in and out of the hotel, such as food, beverage, parcels, etc., is prohibited. So believe it or not, you can't order takeouts, pizza delivery, none of those. Have no expectations of food delivery whatsoever, not unless it's only essential items like medicines, medical supplies, personal care items like feminine products, baby products, which can be purchased for you by the hotel staff, and it's subject to a 20% handling fee. So yeah, you can ask the hotel to buy you stuff. However, they will charge you. It's like corkage in a way. It's a bit strange. I do have to tell you that when I checked in, I asked if my mom could deliver me some of these items, like let's say medicines or whatnot, and they did say they could bring it over the lobby. The guard will get it from them and bring it straight to my room. So if you have family members or friends who are willing to deliver you these essentials or these exemptions, you can have certain deliveries. Important, any violation of government and hotel guidelines will be subject to a corresponding penalty up to 20,000 pesos. So yeah, that's quite a lot. Right, so before I get to the second paper, let's just stick to the topic, which is the guidelines and the rules and regulations that you need to follow. So now let's scan this QR code. The Picasso Boutique Service Residences. Now there's quite a couple of categories you can click here, and I've actually gone through all of them already. It's just really basic hotel stuff like food and beverage. Food and beverage, by the way, the hotel doesn't have its own restaurant. That's why when I checked in, there's no menu. I know they have a separate restaurant downstairs that they outsource. I'm not quite sure, but you need to ask. I'm not quite sure how ordering here is like. I did bring my own food, good enough for my quarantine stay. So in case you're not sure about ordering here, Online as well, the reviews weren't so great. They were saying it's a little bit expensive for what it is, but it's not really for me to say because I haven't ordered. I brought my own food, and hence that's why I have my kitchen. You can cook, you can microwave. I don't really plan to eat a buffet every day, so that's enough for my quarantine stay. Anyway, let's jump back to the health and safety guidelines. Room policy. Based on the guidelines issued by the Department of Tourism, etc., etc., let's jump straight to it. Single occupancy stays should be observed. So I have to stay here alone, or you have to stay here alone, except for families from the same household traveling together. So that means if you're traveling with your husband or your kids, as long as you have the same address indicated on your IDs, you can show that as proof, and then they'll allow you to stay all in one room. So you really have to provide the proper documentation and papers proving that, yeah, you have the exact same address. It has to be government issued IDs or documents. Next is guests traveling with a minor 18 years of age and below. So I think that even if you're not living in the same household but you're traveling with a minor, I think you can stay in the same room as well. Bring a copy of the ID reflecting the birth date of the minor. So that's all you have to bring. And last but not the least, guests such as senior citizens and or travelers with medical emergencies. So if you're a senior citizen, I think that's age 60 and above. I might have to double check. Or you have a PWD card, a person with disabilities. You just have to show all of those IDs, perhaps a medical certificate indicating chronic medical illness. Then you'll also be allowed to stay in the same room. When I checked in here, I had to show a QR code from this app called The One. I'm going to flash it on the screen as well. Health Declaration Registration Health Pass. And this one plus my passport, and definitely you have to show your booking here for the hotel. They won't allow you to just pay on the spot. You have to pre-book your hotel stay before check-in. So you have to make sure you do that. I did mine before I even boarded the plane, so everything is settled. You also might want to book a transportation. I booked it straight with the hotel. So when I landed in Terminal 3, I was picked up by the hotel's transportation. So you don't have to worry about anything. Otherwise, there are taxis waiting for you there. You have two options. It's either metered or a fixed rate. I'll also flash the QR code. Hopefully you can scan it as well. And you can go through this all on your own. All right, so the other rule or regulations that you'll be needing to follow during your quarantine stay is you'll have to pre-book your PCR test, which will be done on the 5th day. So the moment you arrive in the hotel, whether if it's 11 p.m., like really late, as long as it's before midnight, that's considered day 1. Even before you board the plane, if you're traveling from abroad, you need to arrange all of this online. And I will create another video for that. All the requirements you need to fill up before even traveling, because that's going to be quite a number of items to tackle. So when you check in the hotel, they're going to ask for that QR code. You also have the option to pay for the PCR test online or on the 5th day, which they will be coming here. If you are a senior citizen, an OFW, or if you have a PWD card, do show that as well, because you will have certain discounts on the PCR test cost. You will have to show also your vaccination card. So the hotel will want to make sure you had your first jab, your second jab, and if you have your booster already or any other jabs that you'll be having after the booster as well, make sure you have all of those documents prepared. If it's online, I had mine done in the UK, so it's a QR code. In the Philippines, my second shot was done here, so I have a vaccination card. Make sure all of those documents are prepared upon check-in. And of course, it's quite mandatory everywhere nowadays. At the hotel, all guests are required to wear a face mask. So you can't enter the hotel without a face mask. Your temperature will be checked, and if it's above 37.5 degrees Celsius, you won't be allowed to enter. When I checked in as well, I had to sign so many forms. I had to tick so many boxes, and those boxes, actually indicate they're actually just making sure you don't have any symptoms for COVID. They want to make sure you don't have they want to know if you've had a history of COVID or if you've had a history of staying with someone who had COVID or who has COVID. So there's a couple of forms that you'll be filling up when you check in the hotel. The number of your quarantine stay will depend if you're arriving from a yellow listed country, or a red listed country. For green listed countries, I'm not quite sure what the rules are. But for me, even after my quarantine stay here, according to the Philippine government, I do have to quarantine still at home after my stay here. While on the quarantine, according to the guidelines, all guests shall stay in the room until they can present a negative COVID-19 RT-PCR test result. So that case, mine's going to be done on the 5th. If the results come out on the same day, I can actually leave the hotel as well. I don't need to stay until the 6th day. However, some results come out the following day, so I do have to stay until the 6th day. So it really, really varies. As the guest must not double lock the door at all times. I have no idea why. Maybe if there's an emergency, they want to know they'll be able to come in. Again, it indicates any type of deliveries in and out of the hotel are not allowed, except for what I previously mentioned. Smoking cigarettes, vaping, and drinking of alcohol beverages are not allowed at all times. We're gonna get to that in a while because they do have a list here that you can order, and there's certainly alcohol. They have wine and beer. So I'm not quite sure how up to date their online list is. However, you can purchase some alcohol if you do fancy a beer or wine. And there you have it. Those are the rules. That's, of course, assuming that you are negative from COVID. If you test positive, however, that's going to be a complete different story. You might want to check out another video on that. I'm keeping my fingers crossed and I do feel healthy. I'm just a little tired from sleep deprivation. If you do test positive on your PCR test results, I'm very sorry to hear that, and I wish you well, and do check out someone else's video, or perhaps, call the hotel so that they can let you know what you should be doing or what you need to do in case you do test positive. I'm gonna flash as well what this paper looks like. Interesting thing is there won't be anyone to assist you between 11 p.m. and 6 a.m. So you might just want to call Picasso Hotel and double check up on that, because before my arrival, the customer service or the operator was 24 hours. It's like a normal hotel, but now I think due to COVID and several cases, they might be short on staff. I'm really not quite sure. If there's an emergency, however, there's a number that you can call. I hope I was able to shine some light on you in case you do consider staying here at the Picasso Boutique Hotel Makati. So far, I'm having a very relaxing time, aside from the fact that I'm trying to get over jet lag. But I shall see you soon on my next video. Stay tuned because I'm going to be letting you know what are the pros and cons of staying in this hotel. And I'm also going to let you know what were my other top picks to stay, because really the competition online was so great that there were other hotels with the same price, possibly with bigger space. There's just a lot of pros and cons. So check out my top 4 hotels I was considering staying in. If you want to know my previous quarantine hotel where I stayed for 10.5 days, I stayed in Seda Makati Hotel, and I love that place. The only reason why I didn't stay there this time is because it's too high, and there was an earthquake when I stayed there, and the floor was swaying left and right. It was very, very scary for me. Right now, I'm on the 3rd floor. So that's why I chose to stay in Picasso. And also because there's a kitchen that I'm very much enjoying over there. So I shall see you soon on my next video. Bye, and thank you for watching.